Well, hi, everyone. This is Tracy Chamberlain Higginbotham of Women Ties, back with another fantastic woman entrepreneur that we love featuring in our Women of the Week series. And today I like saying just a few words before I introduce her, but as you can see, we have the beautiful Jackie Michel here. And Jackie is a regular to our events and participates a lot in our programs, and she is a sort of a new author, but she has been in business quite a while with her own practice. She'll tell you a little bit about that. But you know what? Don't think that women in their 70s can't rock and roll as entrepreneurs, because they certainly can. And Jackie is one of those women. So I just want to say, Jackie, welcome. Thank you for joining us today.
Oh, thank you so much, Tracy. This is really very exciting, and I feel privileged to have an opportunity to share a little bit about my own background and the book that I've recently written and how I came upon doing that.
Yeah, so it's a perfect book. I was just going to say, because Thanksgiving's coming up, and you'll be telling them a little bit about it, but it has to do with gratitude, which all of us should be grateful for many things in our life. And so I'm proud that you have written this book. Why don't you tell us just a little bit about your background and your career, which will make probably sense to people as you then talk about your book.
Okay, so I started out and spent most of my career as a psychotherapist. In fact, I continue to practice. And along the way, I took some of the very early courses in executive coaching and did a number of business courses. And
I always find, I think I say this to really everybody, that if you kind of are where you're at and you look back over your life, you can see the stepping stones that lead the path to where you are now. And I don't think any of us would be here today without having those, because you develop as a person, you develop as a business person over time. And so it's looking for those opportunities and understanding that our passions may still be rooted deep inside us, but that they lead us sometimes to doing other things within our life. So how did you end up creating Gratitude Leads? How did that stone of your counseling sort of lead you to that website and to your book?
Okay, so it's pretty interesting. My son, who was a Rotary Exchange student in Japan, ended up spending 10 years there after college. And he got a master's degree over there and worked as an environmental educator with children all over Japan in schools, and also with children around the world. They did what now would be called Zoom calls. And so he returned to the States and lives right close to me now. And when he first got here, we had this idea of creating a big kit for children.
Oh, nice.
So I started doing all this research on gratitude and discovering how important it is. And the other thing I learned during this process, because of our proximity here to the Native American community, I learned how this was an integral part of their lives, gratitude for the environment. And that was so inspiring to me. It was just a natural thing for them. So I started giving talks to some of the people that have known me for a long time, done workshops on gratitude and the environment. And it didn't totally resonate, that connection for people, but what was consistent was grandparents, aunts, uncles, friends telling me they would send gifts to their either their grandkids or friends' kids, nieces and nephews. They'd never get a thank you note. Some people even said, I've just stopped giving gifts because,
wow.
Yeah. And so what this taught me really was the connection, really, the whole systemic connection between expressing gratitude and giving back by expressing thanks, you know, giving a gift and then experiencing a return in terms. So then I read a book by David Brooks called The Road to Character. And that actually spearheaded my writing the book eventually. But I did want to say about gratitude and recognizing Thanksgiving coming. One of the things I have on my website, Gratitude Leads, is what I call the 7 C's of gratitude. And I think it really points to the way in which gratitude links to every aspect of our lives. And that's how come the website got called Gratitude Leads, because it wasn't simply about parenting or therapy issues or anything like that. But so the 7 C's are conscious awareness, connection, character, commitment to the environment, contentment, context, that is creating the atmosphere or the space in which the people in your lives are experiencing, and then contribution, service, giving back. So I thought that really kind of gives the expansive view of why Gratitude Leads came to be Gratitude Leads.
Right. Oh, it's a great story. But what was popping up in my head is my mom always taught us to be, you know, very grateful in terms of, exchanging, you know, making sure we thanked people for gifts. So it's interesting you say that, because my anniversary with my husband just came up, and our sons, who we are very, very close to and we do a lot for, they're 29 and 26. They don't even send anniversary cards. Like, they barely remembered. And we have a really great relationship with them, and we've brought them up a certain way. And I made them handwrite, you know, thank you cards when they got their graduation, you know, money and everything. But it's really interesting. I've said to my husband that they don't connect for some reason. And I wonder if it's technology on actually buying cards and sending cards to us. We never, you know, maybe at our birthdays we might get them. So do you think a little of it is technology has gotten in the way, or is it parents have forgotten to teach their kids to do some of those old-fashioned thank yous to show gratitude?
Well, I think you could say technology has something to do with it, but it's also a mindset. And there was a real shift in the culture back in the 90s. And this is one of the things that David Brooks talks about in The Road to Character, where he calls it the World War II mindset, where people worked hard, had humility, worked together, and appreciated one another. And there was a shift to what could be referred to as the self-esteem movement. And he calls it the big me. This primary focus on oneself, that you get what you want, that you're the center of the universe. And the thing that's wrong with that is that people see themselves as isolated individuals and not connected. And it really takes a waking up to understand that it's because of the people in our lives and who've contributed to us. But there's so much focus today on what you want. And I'm sure everybody knows the hovering parent, the trophies that you get, whether you earn it or to another. I think all of that has trained our younger generation to experience themselves as the big me. I should have what I want. And so they're not thinking outside of themselves. In fact, yesterday I'm doing some consulting with one of the not-for-profits in.
Oh, Jackie, you're freezing a little bit there. Can you move your?
And the gentleman who was talking with me was saying how people don't have that same ethic of wanting to help.
Right.
That these are the younger generation, and the way they wanted to, they leave. And I know the whole issue of employees is across the board in every industry, but it's also connected to some of what we're talking about.
Right. You know, it was interesting that you say that because my son's.
I could go.
Can you hear me okay? Yeah, because you freeze just a little bit. I'm trying to. Oh, we got you on a frozen screen. Can you hear me okay? No, technical difficulties. If I was in one of those.
Oh, you're breaking up a little bit now.
Yeah. Are you
I'm
there?
frozen, am I?
You were frozen.
Yeah.
Now
yeah, I'm here.
Now you're here. Okay, awesome. All right. I keep moving my thing as if I keep seeming like I'm still here. All of you listening to us understand how technology works, right? Where sometimes you have no control over what's going on. But what I was going to say is for my sons, and when they were both in high school, I told them I wanted them to pick a community service project that they would do because they were so blessed with all the things they have. So my oldest son, who loved reading, did a book drive for kids in the Syracuse City School District who normally didn't get books. And my youngest son, who was a lacrosse player, collected $26,000 worth of used lacrosse equipment to give to two teams, one in Iowa who had never, who was trying to start a lacrosse program, and one to the city of Denver where kids couldn't afford lacrosse equipment. And they both, that's what they did for their projects. And I wanted them to see that there's a way that you can share your resources with others. And the notes from both sets of the kids that received all of this stuff was amazing. And I think it really truly showed my sons the value of not only the gratitude that they have of their stuff, but also how they can affect gratitude in others.
That's just beautiful, Tracy, really inspiring. And that's the kind of things parents should be supporting their kids in doing.
Right.
And it makes me think when you ask the question, why aren't they sending you notes? And that may have to do with taking for granted your parents. And that's one of the interesting things I talk about in the book. There's a professor at Cornell who has done research on this whole question of both taking things for granted. It's kind of our human nature.
Okay. When
we think about all the privileges we have, and it's still easy to complain about something.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
It takes a conscious commitment to always remind oneself, or to wake up every day to what there is to be grateful for.
Yeah.
And the other thing this guy has done work on is, he calls it headwinds, tailwinds. When things are going our way, it's easy to be grateful. It's when they're not, that it's a challenge.
Yeah, parents should be doing. I understand that there may be not, which I think is great observation, that people maybe stop truly parenting or knowing how to parent after a certain point in the kid's life. But so what is it that parents today should be doing once they get past those early parenting months or years?
Well, they should, first of all, see themselves as leaders. And I think the culture needs to acknowledge what hard work it is to be a parent, and that it shouldn't just be about problem solving. It should be focused on, I mean, in addition to that, focused on who are you being as a parent?
Mm,
What are you generating? What are you creating? How are you contributing to building a sense of character?
mm,
Um, Not simply, how do I make my kid happy?
right.
And, you know, there are challenges with kids demanding toys and things. I heard a little kid screaming when I was coming out of Target because his mommy didn't buy him a
Right.
game. And learning to help children delay gratification
Mm,
and also not be so focused on material things. There's a great book written years ago called What Kids Really Want That Money Can't Buy.
mm,
And I think parents tend to buy things, buy candy, just to shut their kids up.
right.
So I think parents need to address within themselves what's motivating them.
Right.
And even this issue of technology, video games, very, very challenging issue.
Mhm.
But joining in with children, knowing what they're watching, uh, much the way families used to play games together.
Mhm.
And of course, some families do still, but uh, joining in and watching video games with your kid. And there are positive lessons as well as increasing evidence that an addiction to video games leads to depression.
Mm,
So being upfront about who are you as a parent being about video games? Are you on your cell phone all the time and not really present with your kids? Are you really listening? Are you
right.
paying attention? And also, I think there's been an issue with hovering
Mm,
that I think people are very familiar with, but you know, I've had professors tell me parents are calling asking, why didn't my darling get an A?
right.
And so you're, as a parent, you're training your kids to be resilient, to be self-generating,
Right.
um, not to be doing everything for them and just focused on their happiness.
Yeah.
Another key thing is getting out in nature, even if you live in a city, doing things in the environment because you want your kids as well as yourself to take steps to be kind and caring for the environment.
One of the best things I think that I did, and I guess I'm proud of, but it's because I have two sons. So trying to identify as a mother with two sons, even though I have brothers and, fathers and everything, is they would come home from school and they would watch a limited amount of cartoons because this was before they had cell phones and video games. And I would make them turn off what they were doing and come and join me in the kitchen and learn how to cook. And they are now both excellent cooks and cook for their girlfriends and fiancés. And it was a special time for us to have together, plus taught them a life skill that they use today. So that was my kind of way of selfishly getting their attention and being with them while also teaching them something and getting them away from a TV screen. And I realize not everybody loves cooking, but they still to this day will call me when they're cooking something or want to cook for me. So that was one of the things that I did. And it was because they were boys. And I thought it doesn't matter if they're boys and I'm a girl, we can all cook. So
That's great. That makes me think of, since we're approaching Thanksgiving,
yeah.
that one of the things my son-in-law and I have done is create a game where everybody works in teams and thinks about what they're thankful for and then shares that. But I think Thanksgiving is a really important time to focus on our connection with one another and understanding the importance of gratitude. And one of the things we've also done is every Thanksgiving, plan some kind of charity that we as a family can contribute to, so that you begin to see yourself as more than just you, this little isolated person,
Right. Yeah.
that's having a great Thanksgiving dinner.
Right. No, that is, I always wanted to do a soup kitchen for the boys. And again, it was just something that I think they had all their volunteer shifts filled every Thanksgiving I called. And so, there are still people that need food from soup kitchens any other time of the year if you can get your family to commit to that. So yeah, I know that there are a lot of wonderful traditions like that, but the whole point is that we need, and I think through your teaching and through your book and your online course, that gratitude is something that can be a part of every single day. And so if parents are, because we're getting to the end of our time, if parents want to, maybe you can show your book quickly and then tell us where they can purchase the book. So Hooray for Parenting. It says A Parent's Guide to Raising, must be great kids.
Great kids, yeah. So let me say one or two quick things about the book. That
Sure.
Parents love this. The chapters are really brief, so it's not a big time sink, which I know is an issue for parents. There's a place at the end of every chapter to write your thoughts and start examining, what's going on with you in regard to the individual chapter, and also how your past is informing you today. And then I also have the workbook, which is an extension of it, parallels the book completely, but lots and lots of questions, exercises like how do you listen,
Right.
and charts about whose problem is whose. What's your kid's problem? What's your problem? What do you need to help them solve?
Right.
So people love this. Some people love just doing the workbook.
Mhm.
And the other thing I want to inspire is, and I have a whole section in the back of the workbook on parents getting together in groups, or teachers using this as a guide.
Sure.
Or therapists to work with parents, because it raises so many critical questions that I want parents to be thinking about.
Right.
So this is available on Amazon.
Okay.
Um,
Underneath the title, I will put it under our YouTube channel comments, but on Amazon under Hooray for Parenting, or under author name Jackie Michel.
Yes.
Correct. Okay.
And it's pretty easy to find.
Yeah.
So thank you.
You're very welcome. This was a wonderful conversation, and despite this is proof that it would probably be better if we were face to face having this conversation, because we wouldn't be freezing. So
Right.
It's the same with teaching your kids, that everything is not about technology, that it really should be about the gratitude you have for the time that you can spend with the people that you love, and just being grateful for everything that you have in your life. And I know that your book does that. And so thank you, Jackie, very much for joining me today. And I wish you a happy Thanksgiving in advance, but I hope that people listening will find this book and find this interview and be thankful that they order it from you, so that they can have an extra special Thanksgiving and teach their kids that too. So thank you very much, and come back next time for another Woman of the Week interview next week. Thank you.
Thanks a million. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.